Okay. Yay, 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 yay. No, no, not yet.
Okay. Yeah, it's in the marketing channel. I think we should start because it's 9:02, and then um, just for people not to drop off.
So weird.
Doesn't matter. We just I'm
So now you are live. Let me do something here. Yes, now you're good. You can start whenever you want, Mel.
okay. Perfect. All right. So welcome everyone. This is our. Okay. Ready?
Yes, you're ready. We're ready.
Perfect. All right. So hello everyone and welcome. This is our learning session number 2. Today it's about social media and the social media strategy. So how to build a strategy around social media, the most important channels, the most important content, and Rodrigo will guide us through his most important pillars. And then we will have Hadir, who is joining us today as well. And Hadir is looking into 2 markets, Egypt and Nigeria. And she
Yes.
will give us her insights, will present her, and also she will give us her experience from the past and how she applies it to Coda. Rodrigo, over to you.
Nice. Thanks a lot, Mel. So, guys, welcome to the second session. Like Mel just said, you're going to cover like how to build a social media strategy. Although, although the name of the session is how to build a social media strategy, you need to understand that it's impossible to do such a thing in less than 20 minutes. This would take like days, but my objective here is to like plant a seed by sharing some of the most important things that you must consider when you are about to build a social media strategy. So let's start. Um, so Mel, can you jump to the second screen, please? Nice, thank you. So this is the most recent social media data from Brazil. So Q1 was by far our most successful Q to date, and as you can see, we reached over 4 million people and got over a half a million engagements. So both represent an incredible evolution over Q5, and we also beat both forecasts. So why is that? Because we have a well-structured social media strategy, like you're going to see in the next screen. So basically, I'm going to focus on 4 pillars, okay? So this is the way I learned, and I can thankfully say that I was able to successfully apply it in different companies, now thankfully including Coda. So these are the 4 pillars. So the first and by far the most important one, as you can see, is social media must be aligned with marketing, which means explore top games for the region and support special campaigns. And by support, I mean in a more social, creative way, right? The second, it's expertise. So you must understand the strengths of each platform, like the best formats. Third one, content. So exclusive, local stuff. So go local is super important, like community activations, video content, and also capitalize on existing content so we can expand to other platforms without any big effort. And last but not least, and as important as the others, so humanize. And by humanize, I mean through content creators, community managers. So they will generate more numbers, credibility, and it will help us to have a deeper connection, a way deeper connection with our followers. Okay, so with all that in mind, and in order to make all this happen, Mel, could you please go to the next slide, please? Thank you. We need people. That's the message. So this I would call the dream team. Okay, so the team, but I'd say the dream team. Just like any other area, dedicated talents make the difference. As we know, not all countries, and we need to be fair here, not all countries have enough resources to make this happen, this structure. So it's up to the local teams to understand how we can adapt the idea to the local resources, right? So basically here, the ideal scenario would be to have a dedicated social media manager would be focused on the strategy, reports, insights, and also marketing insights. And then they're all together. I mean, they form like a team. You'd have like a dedicated designer for social. So I will then show you in a minute how more minimalist approach, I mean, a more cohesive design philosophy can make the difference. A community manager, so he or she, I mean, can interact with our audience, can give them attention. We have content ideas and so on, and also content creators to support this whole strategy with content, especially video, and humanize plus give users more confidence. Okay, so let's go to the, I mean, the core of the social media, which is content, right? So content is king. I mean, for me, it's the pure definition of what we should offer to our followers. So go local is fundamental, like I mentioned, to our success in different markets. You can expect to replicate global content over and over again and succeed. This is simply not appealing, and you must understand what works best for your country and adapt to Coda, right? So here, by having this freedom to create, I mean, we have the privilege at Coda to make this happen. You know, yeah, we are free to, well, go crazy, let's say, in a good way. So by doing that, we can differentiate ourselves from the competitors. We can generate huge organic reach and engagement, like I showed to you in the beginning of the presentation, surprise the audience and generate advocates, and create infotainment, right? And also, you need to, of course, review which are the most relevant social media channels in your country. That can change a lot depending on the region, right? So I'll say the most relevant social media platforms in Brazil, maybe it's completely different in, let's say, Vietnam, and I'm sure it is. So by doing that, we can use our resources wisely and replicate content when applicable, and use, of course, the most relevant features of each platform, right? So before we start creating content, we can do this like crazy. We can simply, I mean, tomorrow start creating content for Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, etc., all at the same time. We need to focus. So as discussed before, we need to understand our resources and where my audience is, where your audience is. So in other words, you should choose super carefully which social media platforms you must work with. Like I heard from a teacher, whenever you try to do everything all at once, you will basically fail miserably. You won't succeed in any. So I suggest starting with two and later escalating. Okay. So just to give you an example of one of them, amongst many things we did in Brazil to differentiate ourselves from competitors, this year we began to actively work with content creators, both on Instagram and especially on TikTok. As you can see here, I'm showing you feeds from different companies, which I use as a benchmark for Cuda. The one on the left is Itaú, probably the biggest bank in Brazil. The one in the middle is LinkedIn on TikTok. And the other is a gaming publisher, which is Ubisoft. What do they all have in common? As you can see, basically 99% of their posts are made by creators who are linked to these companies. So given this trend, what we did was to incorporate that into Coda as well. So Mel, could you please play the video? Mm, we need to, yeah. So this is just an example of a
I'm
video.
going to steal this. I'm going to steal this in Egypt.
Definitely, definitely. I'd love to see in Egypt as well. I mean, this is just an. Sorry, could you go back to the video? Yeah. So this is just an example of a video published by Codalina, our TikTok star, which got over 300,000 views and more than 25,000 engagements. So she played with a really fun situation in Genshin where she was like just by the border of the lake, but since she didn't have like enough stamina, she died. So this resonated super well with the audience, and we have been doing that for quite some time on TikTok and Instagram, etc. And then we were able to connect with our audience in a way more fun way. Remember, Coda is a store. It doesn't sound like super fun at first, but you can generate like super cool content around the product we work with, and then connect to the audience in a more meaningful way, right? So creators help us to fulfill some of those pillars I mentioned before, including humanizing our profiles and connecting to different communities in a relevant way. So the next one, please, another example of how we applied those principles now on Instagram. The jump, as you can see, is phenomenal. I mean, in Q4, we had an average of 1,000 engagements per week, whereas now on Q1, it jumped to over 13,000 engagements per week. This number is actually way bigger now. So look how the design also changed with a more minimalism approach, so everything counts, okay? So basically, I mean, I could talk about content for hours, days, weeks, months. I mean, so for now, I want to make sure that you understand that you should put a lot of effort and care into what type of content you want to offer to our followers. So, like the message here on the slide, your content should connect and resonate with your audience. So, spark and emotion. So, this is super important. Um, please keep that in mind. Okay. So now it's time for my favorite part of those sessions, which is the CUDA talks. And here today we have had Hadir. Is that how is like the right pronunciation for her name? It's Hadir.
Yeah, that's the best time someone said it in the first time.
Oh,
Hadir, yes.
really?
Yeah.
Oof. Brilliant. So Hadir, it's super cool to have you here. Thanks for joining us today. I'm going to ask you a few questions so that people can know more about you, more about your work, right?
Yeah,
So
perfect.
first, what country are you from?
So I am Egyptian and I'm based in Egypt, but I take care of
Nice.
Nigeria and Egypt and Coda.
Wow, super cool, super cool. So when did you join Coda, and what's our position?
I joined Coda on the 14th of March, so a little under 2 months right now.
Hmm,
My position is a marketing manager. I work in the Meta team, and as I said, I take care of Nigeria and Egypt.
nice. Oof. Nice. Super different countries. I love that. Um, could you please tell us more about the social media landscape in those countries, like the
Mhm.
most popular formats and overall user behavior?
So social media kind of changed completely in 2020 in Egypt, especially because we were quarantined by the government because of COVID-19.
Hmm.
So TikTok rose hugely, and I think anyone downloaded TikTok in 2020. This allowed a huge potential for new type of influencers. We used to have influencers that are mainly on Instagram, mainly using static pictures, and mainly are all about like the rich kids or like the curated life. Now, social media is completely different. 3 years after the rise of TikTok was the quarantine from COVID-19. It's basically normal people, normal life, just people in their pajamas doing silly videos and doing dances and doing comedy and different things. And even now, like even the curated content that we used to be like more of a lifestyle or even like niche content like gaming, it also moved to TikTok. So TikTok is definitely the top page, the top platform in Egypt. Instagram is still holding. The Instagram is not going anywhere because now everyone who is doing content is putting same content on Instagram and same content on TikTok. Maybe Instagram is maybe a little bit for like the older folks. And when I say older, I say, unfortunately, I say 30 plus. So people who
Oh.
are over 30 are I am more than 30 years old as well. So I kind of hit myself as
I
well.
felt that.
As for Nigeria, Nigeria is like when we look at the numbers in Nigeria, we find out that the most popular or the most numbers or users are on Facebook. But in reality, in the streets, it's not like that. The most popular platforms in Nigeria is actually Twitter and Snapchat. So Twitter is actually where all the conversation happens. And over the quarters, there has never been like a downgrade of the numbers of active users or the number of ad reach or the number of conversations or hashtag trends on Twitter, even though every other platform is declining except Twitter and Snapchat. They are the only ones. TikTok is also not declining. They're not the most popular ones, but Twitter and Snapchat are definitely the most popular ones in Nigeria. But we don't really see like classic social media that just like we see it everywhere else, like just posting. There's real conversations happening on Twitter, brands replying to each other, banks making fun of each other. It's an interesting place, Twitter in Nigeria.
It's nice. Sounds like super vibrant. I mean, super exciting times. And well, what would you point as a challenge in the social media landscape right now?
I think that brands are not able to take over TikTok properly, especially in Egypt. I think that with their solution is just, hey, we're just going to make a TikTok channel. And that probably doesn't work because TikTok is such a vibrant channel, and also it's dominated by Gen Z. So anyone who was born from 1997 onwards, so they're not really like eager to follow like a lot of brands. Some brands are trying, yeah, of course, but I think that's one of the biggest challenges, that businesses did not understand TikTok yet in Egypt, and they're not really able to like conquer the channel. um, I have an idea, and I think I'm working with, I'm working with it. I think the best way is not just to throw out a channel there, because no matter how much like we are able to create content, we are never going to be as fast and as effective in trend jumping, just like the smaller creators or the Gen Z influencers. I think the best way to conquer this challenge is basically the presence of social media doesn't have to be through our own channel. The presence of social media can come from like an army of micro influencers or brand ambassadors that could be working with the face of Coda, creating content for us through their own channels and reusing this content through maybe digital marketing.
Nice, thank you. What a complete response. Love it. So, well, thanks for responding to all the questions. Now I know that you have something special for us.
Of
So,
course.
the stage is yours. Feel free to talk about
All
it.
right. Okay, so the one thing that I would like to tell you about it from my past experience is the power of localization. And whenever we hear localization, we think, yeah, we're just going to take it from English to Arabic, just like anyone else. But it's not that simple. So in my past experience, I used to work for a French company. There was a lot of things that were only in English because that was the language that was applicable for us. But you know, when we started actually breaking that barrier, and when we completely changed our social media to Egyptian Arabic, and also we used to have influencers that kind of look like us, like the modern class A influencers. They weren't bringing us anything.
Mhm.
But when we went into tier two cities and more bloggers who were wearing like more conservative clothes and like hijab and who looked like the rest of the Egyptian citizens, we were more relevant. And that was the power of localization. I think it plays also on the humanization part that you just mentioned, is that we have like a human face, but it's just not any human face. It has to be the local human face that looks like everyone else. So this
Mhm.
is a plan that I'm actually working on, and we've already created some of the samples of the post, as you can see. When I arrived, I found that we have one Instagram page for all the region, and it's Saudi and Egypt are completely different markets. We cannot just talk to them with the same language. Do we have different dialects? I love Saudi. I grew up in Saudi, by the way, so I know the dialect and everything. But it's completely different market. So that put us in a situation where we had to use white Arabic, which nobody speaks. Like Saudi people do not speak white Arabic, and Egyptians do not speak white Arabic. Also, we were focusing on a lot of static and generic designs that, as we can see, because we did have like a regional approach, and the regional approach was like allowing us to just be like very like on the surface, scratching the surface. The plan basically for May onwards is that we want to transform this into a more localized version of our social media. So we're just going to start using Egyptian Arabic, and I'm working with a Lebanese agency, so I'm writing the Arabic. But it's important for us to make sure that we're speaking the language of our audience. We're also focusing on what the brand tracker has told us. So the brand tracker gave us a lot of insights, like payment methods and what are Egyptian looking at when they're trying to find out news about gaming or news about how to save when they're playing, and also the findings that we're seeing. Like for example, we just were surprised that MLBB is growing in Egypt. Remember, Melanie, when I told you that they were doing TikTok ads, they are growing in Egypt. They doubled their TPV last month only because of the awareness that was built. So it's important to
Nice.
stay on top of the trends in Egypt through just existing in Egypt and like seeing what's going on, and also using influencer content. This is going to be the plan from now on. We already started with the agency this month, and then further on the line, we're going to recruit a content creator who will be Egyptian and will be able to create like very relevant localized posts that are relevant to gamers in Egypt and people who are looking for payment solution for the entertainment business.
Wow. It's just the beginning. I mean, you just joined the company and so much to share. So thank you, Hadir. I mean,
Thank you so
super
much.
exciting times. I love to see people talking with such energy about social. I'm happy to see that now we have another, let's say, social media addictive here in the company.
And
You
we're
know, I
gonna get
used
a new Codalina, Rodrigo. Watch out. So
Yeah,
let's see what the Egyptian version of Codalina is gonna bring
I do
us. So
love
I'm
to see
looking forward to that.
that. Look forward
Yeah,
to.
hopefully. I heard a lot about your work, Rodrigo, by the way, and I used to be head of social media a couple of years ago in my old company. So I know what you're doing is very hard because not a lot of people are believing in social media and corporate. So good job on this and good job on the this
Thank you.
class. And thank you for having me.
That was super nice, Hadir. You are awesome. Thank you again for joining us today. Mel, do you want to add something?
No, I think today is really about like we have two of our strongest social experts here in Coda talking about their experiences locally. We will definitely reach out to more of you for the next sessions to get your experiences. Think local, act global. We all know this, but really like be true to your audience. So I think Rodrigo with Codalina has shown that social is about entertainment, it's about engagement, it's really about like creating community and finding this one passion in common. Find your humor and find your language locally and make it relevant for your audiences and stay true to, of course, the brand. Here we want to represent Coda at all times. And yeah, Hadir, excited that in your less than 2 months in, you're already like putting everything upside down and you're following the path. Use your experience. We all can learn from you. And thank you for being today our guest.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Melanie.
Thank you all. Thank you,
Thanks.
Mel.